Welcome to Conversations with Spirit, where we dive deep into the mystical and enchanting realms of spirituality. I'm your host, spiritual medium Lauri, and together with special guests, we explore a world of spiritual insights and experiences, as well as offer captivating mediumship and oracle card readings. Tune in for enlightening conversations that will uplift your soul and expand your consciousness. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Conversations with Spirit. I'm so glad to be here. I'm happy to see everybody here. Thank you for being here. Before we begin, I want to tell you that I do this show in conjunction with evolveme.com, which is an all things metaphysical and spiritual website, whose mission is to facilitate and empower personal enlightenment to all that seek it. You can go on there and find psychics and mediums and healers and classes and workshops and, and retreats, all kinds of stuff. So that is evolveme.com. So my guest today, oh my gosh, you guys, my guest today, I am so thrilled to have this beautiful soul on with me today. She is a really special lady. I did an event with her. I was just telling her I did an event with her several years ago, and then I never was able to actually chat. So this is my chance.
We're getting to know each other virtually now.
I know, exactly. So this is Jules Davis. Jules Davis is a highly experienced professional psychic medium, International Center for Reiki Training, licensed Usui, Karuna, Reiki, and Animal Reiki Master Teacher, Master Crystal Healer, Sound Healer, Medical Intuitive, Animal Communicator, Spiritual Teacher, and the owner of our... Oh my gosh.
Auralux.
Sorry. I was going to say hour and I knew that wasn't coming out right. Sorry. Auralux in Los Angeles. Her work has been featured on BuzzFeed, E's The Platinum Life, E's The Platinum Life. Gosh, I can't talk today. Super Deluxe, Mixed Makeup, LATV, Sunset Magazine, which is really huge, by the way. Shout Out LA, Voyage LA, and she is often a featured speaker at retreats and wellness events. So I am so appreciative, Jules, that you could fit us in. You are up to so much. So thank you for being here. How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, of course. I am such a fan of people that do Reiki, and I am attuned to Kundalini Reiki, but I've never done the Usui or the Karuna, or I'm not 100% familiar with all of that. And you guys get ready, because we're going to do some readings. So get your questions ready. Anybody that's interested in asking questions about Reiki or about anything that we talk about. So anyway, Jules.
Yes.
Can you tell me about what people, I always kind of want to word questions. This is going to sound silly, but I always kind of want to word questions to people that are just beginning, right? So when I ask you, what is Reiki? What is Reiki? Can you tell us a little bit to those of us that aren't 100% familiar with it all, and the extraordinary things that Reiki can do?
Sure. So Reiki is a Japanese energy healing technique for stress relief and relaxation, which also promotes healing. That's the simple version.
Okay.
But not all systems of Reiki come from lineage connected to Japan. So Usui Reiki, for example, is a Japanese energy healing technique. The Karuna Reiki and the ICRT Animal Reiki that I also work with and teach came from teachers outside of Japan. Okay.
So is that what the difference is between Karuna and Usui?
I mean, it's one of the differences is that it's just a different system of energy healing work, but essentially it's all coming from something beyond us. So there's a lot of different energy healing modalities. Some of them are channeled from a higher power or something like that.
Mhm.
And some of them are channeled from energy within ourselves, or it could be sound healing where you're using a singing bowl, or crystals where you're using crystals. So there's lots of different energy healing modalities. So Reiki itself is a channeled energy healing technique.
Yeah.
And typically it's coming from something beyond the practitioner. So that's what makes it unique. And also, typically, you have to be attuned to Reiki by a Reiki master in order to receive the ability to connect with and channel the energy.
Okay. Okay. So thank you for explaining it that way. That's a beautiful explanation, because I think that some people don't quite understand what that is. I mean, like, I can feel energy, and it must be I'm sure it's just regular, I hate to say it this way, regular energy healing, right?
Mhm.
But I can feel the energy coming from my hands, and it's so extraordinary. And I keep saying to myself, all right, I'm going to go get attuned. So you
Yeah.
teach Reiki too, yeah?
Yeah, I teach 3 different systems of Reiki. I'm a licensed Reiki master teacher by the International Center for Reiki Training, which is a very popular organization worldwide. It's been established in the early 90s by
Mhm.
William Lee Rand, who's a fantastic man and been a big part of my journey, and along with the systems of Reiki, some
Yeah.
of which he founded or teaches. And there's about 43, I think, of us in the world that are licensed by the organization, so just a handful. And I
Yeah.
kinda talk about it like we have the doctorate of Reiki training, because we go through an additional, like, 1,000 hours, and we're overseen by our mentor
Yeah.
teachers, and we have to go through a lot of different steps to become a licensed teacher for the organization.
Yeah.
So, yes, I teach ICRT Animal Reiki, I teach Usui Reiki, and I teach Karuna Reiki, and our system includes this energy called Holy Fire, and we're teaching
Oh,
Holy Fire 3 World Peace, Reiki. That's the systems of
oh my
Usui and Karuna
gosh.
Reiki that we teach. Yeah.
I've never heard of that. That sounds amazing.
It is amazing. It's really powerful energy. I was one of the first few hundred people that got it back in 2014, the Holy Fire. And I boarded the Holy Fire train back then, and I've been on it ever since because it's been so powerful. So a lot of the systems of Reiki that I've been trained in have been evolutions of the Holy Fire, but it's not what
Yeah.
I started with. I started with
Mhm.
Usui Tibetan Reiki, and then I did a
Mm.
traditional Japanese Reiki, Ryoho, and then I found the Holy Fire, and just it was amazing how much it was helping me and how powerful it felt. And so I've been
Yeah.
working with and teaching that for the last 10 years.
Wow.
Those
So how did
practices.
you, like, recognize that you were supposed to become attuned to all of it, and do energy healing? Like, how did that, like, I mean, obviously it was spirit led, without a doubt, right? But I'm
Sure.
just wondering how it, like, presented itself for you.
So I have a Cancer rising. I don't know if it's that. I tend to be just a nurturing person in general. Was the caretaker of my friends and many strays for a long time, stray humans and animals. And I was in a really serious car accident in 2010.
Oh, I'm
And
sorry.
that changed my life quite
Mhm.
dramatically. And the silver lining of that tragedy was that I was pushed to learn how to
Mm.
heal myself.
Yeah.
And so, through a lot of research and investigation, I kept coming back to Reiki as being part of my journey. And I had received Reiki probably 10 years before that. And this was in 2010, my car accident, but it kept coming up that it was going to help me in some way. Just I got like
Mm.
these intuitive hits.
Yeah.
So I started receiving Reiki treatments and looking for the right place to train. And, it all just kind of figured itself out from
Yeah,
there.
right? Isn't
Yeah.
that funny? When you just allow spirit to take the wheel, that it
Yeah.
always kinda works itself out now, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I had, I did a lot of other trainings. I trained in, actually started with psychic development before I ever took my first Reiki class because my intuition had always been very pronounced as well. And I wanted to train in mediumship, but I couldn't find any mediumship classes or anything like that back then. And
Mhm.
so I started with intuitive development, which was really psychic development. And then I learned the Usui Reiki trainings, and then I did the Karuna Reiki. But in between, I did shamanic trainings, I did crystal healing, like all these other things, some sound healing.
Yeah.
And that ultimately kind of continued to propel my path forward. Within a very short amount of time, I had started my business and was off with the races. So I started my business in 2013.
Okay. Oh
And
my gosh.
yeah, and everything that's happened for me because of Reiki just reinforces my passion and drive to teach it to others and help others with it because I know
Yeah.
that it heals. I know that Reiki works because it works.
No,
Because
yeah,
I am
exactly.
living proof of how well and effective it is. I've foregone serious surgeries because I healed what was causing the pain with the energy work, or when I needed it, it supported major surgeries or other things that I was going through. So it
Yeah.
complements Western medicine, or sometimes it can cure something. We don't,
Mhm.
we're not allowed to
Yes.
say that, but
Yeah,
it can.
exactly.
And so, I'm living proof and I've seen it happen over and over again just in my personal life,
Yeah.
along with all of the clients and students that I've been working with now for the last 11 going on 12 years.
Oh
So,
my gosh, that is so fantastic. Don't you love it when it's like spirit takes you down a road and I don't know about you, but in looking back, I think to myself, if I had zigged instead of zagged, I
yeah,
wouldn't be here right now. If
totally.
you hadn't had your accident, I hate to say it that way, but if you hadn't had the
No,
accident,
it's true.
things wouldn't have developed the way they did for you. I mean, just when you just never know what
Yeah.
is going to be like something that really propels you to your next sort of step in
Yeah,
life. Oh,
totally. I mean, every adversity is an opportunity,
yeah,
really, if you look at it that
absolutely.
way.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have so many comments here.
Okay.
So let's see. Let me throw this one out. Oh, the one, and I don't, the crochet. I'm just going to call you Crochet because I don't know what your real name is. You thought I did. This person thought I did Reiki. I actually do, like, I don't know what it's called, to be honest with you. It's
Uh-huh.
not like Reiki, but it's like whenever I give a reading, I can tell on their body, like, which chakra might need a little bit of extra love or
Mhm.
clearing and that sort of thing. So I don't know if it's not really Reiki, but and then I've sent out energy healing a lot over the years. So you wouldn't call that Reiki, but it's, I think it's just
Yeah,
something that is supposed to, yeah.
it's not necessarily Reiki, but it's could be a form of energy
Yeah.
healing that you do. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways to do energy work.
Yeah.
So, you're doing it in your way that you're being guided to do it.
Yeah. I just, again, following kind of like what we were just saying, following my path, just
Mhm.
following and seeing wherever it leads. We'll see where it goes. But
Yeah.
anyway, Crochet says, I'm attuned to second level Reiki, but don't practice it much, not even on myself. I feel like I need to re-study it. But
Mhm.
do you feel like one needs to be re-attuned if they haven't practiced in a while? That's such a great question.
Yeah, it's a great question. So there's two answers for that. One is you can re-up, meaning review a class, and the benefit is you get more healing, you get reminders of instruction, and or if you study with a new teacher, you might learn something new, and you might strengthen your confidence in the Reiki energy. Um, You'll also strengthen your Reiki energy by reviewing. So that's one option is to review. Lots of people do it. I've reviewed every level multiple times because you always get benefit from reviewing.
Okay.
The other option is to just practice and work with the energy and then go to the master training. And then, you'll get re upped by taking the next level. So it's not required to get additional attunements, but it always is beneficial to get more attunements.
Very interesting. Very interesting. And then Crochet continues on and says, oh, I would love to know the animal Reiki and And oh,
Mhm.
as a Leo, holy fire Reiki sounds so amazing. So
Yeah.
yeah, the holy, tell me about that. I'm not familiar with that at all. Holy fire. Tell me about that.
Yeah, so the animal Reiki, I'll just answer that part,
Mm,
is a newer system to our organization. It was founded by a couple of our licensed teachers, Colleen Benelli and Pam LeBlanc, as well as a couple of other people who are students and or a daughter of Colleen, her daughter Robin, who's in the licensed teacher training program right now,
mm, mm,
and another woman named Sue Strong. So those four came together because of their love and also background, extensive backgrounds in animal work. Like one is an animal trainer, one
yeah.
owns a farm currently, another one used to own a farm. So that background,
Oh, that's
along
so
with their energy, they started working with. It started as a class on how to do Reiki on animals.
good.
And when they were trying to write the class curriculum out, another energy kept coming in to work with them. And so they decided to listen to that. And it took several years of them listening to that and working with the energy to develop this system. So that's the ICRT Animal Reiki. It's amazing. And it's very much dedicated and devoted to the animals and the earth. And it is its own energy. You also learn quite thoroughly how to work with animals. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful training, a beautiful class. The other is Holy Fire. Holy Fire came in 2014 as an energy to work with the Reiki that we already had, which at that time was Usui and Karuna Reiki.
Mhm.
And we don't know the exact lineage. We say it probably came from the beginning of time. There are references to the term holy fire in the Bible, but it's not religious.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
essentially, it's its own energy that comes from the third heaven or higher, we say, which is
Oh,
where pure love exists. So it's coming from a place of pure unconditional love. There's no duality,
oh my God.
and it feels like pure love. That's the
Mhm.
best way that I can describe it.
Mhm.
It is powerful and gentle at the same time. It can purify, empower, heal you, but it really goes wherever it needs to go. And I just find quite a bit of transformation if people aren't resistant to it. Quite
Yeah.
a bit of transformation can happen with this energy. And I can tell you just how powerful it's been for my own journey and trusting and just feeling like you're always supported. Like,
Yeah.
I know spirit always has my back, but I also have this amazing tool that always has my back too, this
Yeah.
energy.
Wow.
And so anytime I need it on the fly or planned out, I have this wonderful access to this energy. And that's holy fire in a brief nutshell.
Oh my gosh, that is amazing. Yeah, that excites me too. Like I feel like when you were talking about that, I was getting goosebumps. Like that makes me think maybe I should like look into that a little bit more. Now, is
It's
that something
amazing.
aside? Like would I have to be attuned to another type of Reiki first before the holy
Nope.
fire or really?
No, it's just integrated into our classes. So if you take an Usui Reiki class with me, it
Mhm.
is an Usui Holy Fire 3 World Peace Reiki class. If you
Oh,
take a Karuna Reiki class with me, which you have to be an Usui master first, and then you
mhm.
can take Karuna Reiki, you would get the Holy Fire as well. So you get kind of a feel or an introduction to it in level 1 and 2,
Mhm.
but then it really expands a lot more in the master levels of the training. You get like a ignitions, we call them, to the holy fire.
Wow.
You get like a direct access to this energy and the holy fire symbol and all that kind of stuff.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
yeah,
That is just extraordinary. I mean, the idea of healing for the world, gosh,
yeah,
don't we all need that?
yeah,
I
definitely.
mean, wow, that is like, and to me, that's like so important. You know, I hate to say it like that, but it's like, it's so important,
It is.
especially right now. I mean, I guess
Yeah,
all of this work is important,
absolutely.
obviously.
But the more we heal ourselves, the more it heals the earth, the
Yeah,
planet, the people, even the spiritual realms, because we're all healing together, right?
yeah.
And so as we heal, everything else heals. And I find with this energy, a lot of competitiveness, other kinds of energies, they start to disappear because your healing is so pronounced and so profound within
Right.
it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Oh, that's amazing. Um, so Autumn says, I feel a ton of energy flowing through me. How do you know which one, I guess, type of Reiki best fits with my energy? And is it on a case by case basis? That's a great question.
Yeah. So here's what I'll say is for our systems, if you go with the ICRT systems of Reiki, which would be Usui Holy Fire Karuna, and ICRT Animal Reiki. In order to take any other training, you have to start at Usui level 1 and 2.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so you can't take the animal Reiki without the Usui Reiki training because we say animal Reiki is for animals. It can also be for humans, but you might be working with humans. So you also need the human Reiki training, which would be the Usui Reiki. In
Right.
order to get to the Karuna level, you have to be an Usui Reiki master. In order to take the master level of animal Reiki, you also have to be an Usui Reiki master. So those would be the steps in order to get to the next step as far as the systems go with us.
Yeah.
Most people, Usui Reiki is a very popular form of Reiki. That's the Japanese energy healing technique. And that's where most people start,
Mhm.
anyways, because it's the most popular system of Reiki.
Okay. And why is that?
Why is it popular?
Yeah, why is it? Is it just because it's because it's the most known kind of thing,
Yeah.
or yeah?
Essentially, it's the most
Yeah.
known, and it has the strongest, if you're looking at evidence-based systems of healing, it has the most of that at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um, it's been around. So Usui Reiki was founded by a man named Mikao Usui in 1922 in Japan, and he discovered his system of Reiki. So we know there were other systems before him, but his system of Reiki is the one that we practice. His system was discovered in 1922 when he went to have a spiritual experience. He was looking for enlightenment and to find his life purpose. In Japanese, it's called Anshin Ditsume. And
Okay.
so he went to this mountain outside of Kyoto named Mount Kurama, and he meditated and fasted for 3 weeks. And at the end of the 3 weeks, he had this great enlightenment experience, and he felt this bright light enter his head, and he was knocked unconscious. And when he woke up the next day, he realized he had achieved Anshin Ditsume after many years of spiritual evolution and
Yeah.
work.
Yeah.
And so he went running down the mountain and decided to share this energy with the public. So, what's unique is that typically in anywhere in the world, if somebody has an ability like a psychic ability or they're the medicine person of that tribe or whatever the case may be, it stays within their family lineage.
Okay. Sure.
Mikao Usui decided he wanted the whole world to learn this. He was so excited about it. So he spread it all over. And just in the 4 years that he was alive after he discovered his system of Reiki, he had already taught 2,000 people Reiki.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
yeah, but he'd only taught 21 Reiki masters during that time. So, one of his Reiki masters then took that lineage and taught it and did some evolution to it. And then one of his Reiki masters, she learned it
Mhm.
and trained with him in Japan, but she was actually born in the United States and she brought it outside of Japan.
Oh
And the
my.
reason why that system of Reiki is a Japanese word. It means spirit energy. That's essentially what it means.
Okay.
Um, she brought it, Hawaii Takata is her name. She brought it to Hawaii and then she started traveling to the mainland and other parts of the world. But that's essentially why the legacy of Usui Reiki is still very much alive and well, is because the student, then the student, then the student, then the
Yeah.
student, right?
Yeah.
And it got passed on. Whereas, as far as Reiki specifically goes, when the United States won, or whatever you want to call it, in World War II, they demanded an unconditional surrender and they were trying to license everything. And
Oh.
so a lot of people went underground with their healing abilities because they didn't want to be regulated by a foreign entity, obviously.
Yeah.
And so a lot of those systems got lost. And even in Japan, Reiki went pretty much underground. It was way more popular in the diaspora outside of Japan than it
Huh.
has been inside of Japan. So it's getting like a resurgence there, but it's
Yeah.
way more popular outside of Japan than it
Right.
is in Japan to this day.
Oh, that's
Over
interesting.
100 years later, 100 years
Huh. I
later, yeah.
find that to be so fascinating. Why that it's more. I wonder why that is.
Well, because it was underground for so
Because
long.
it was underground and it was,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow, that's
That's why.
amazing.
So
Oh my
because
god.
of Hawaii Takata, it spread to the West, and
Yeah.
then she had only taught 22 Reiki masters, but one of her students decided to teach somebody that decided to teach a lot of people, and that's how it
Yeah.
gets spread.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. And so it all comes from the lineage is all from Yasui, the
Yeah,
man.
for Usui Reiki, the lineage is all
Yeah.
connected to Mikao Usui.
But
Yeah.
it's not that way for Karuna and
No,
yeah.
Karuna Reiki is a separate system of Reiki,
Yeah.
and
And
Animal
but
Reiki
it
is
doesn't have
separate.
lineage type thing though?
They don't say that there's a lineage there, but there are the
Mhm.
founders of the systems of
Sure.
Reiki.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
The
very
lineage stuff is more focused in, like, Asian energy healing modalities where it's
mhm.
like, who was your master teacher? And then, what they do that with Qigong also, it's not just with Reiki.
Oh, interesting.
But what they found with Holy Fire is that, it belongs to everybody.
Yeah.
It belongs to nobody, which means it belongs to everybody. So
Yeah.
there's
Yeah.
no official person as far as the
Yeah.
lineage goes.
Oh my gosh, this is such a fascinating. I've never actually been able to ask somebody these questions, and so
Yeah.
this is like so fascinating to me. Crochet then says back, says master level Reiki. I've always heard if you only wait, you only take if you want to teach.
Nope.
I'm an introvert and I'm not much of a speaker, so I've always steered away from master level.
Yeah.
But now after this info, and then that's all. I'm rethinking this.
Yeah, I
So
think it's
kind of
it's a
interesting.
common misconception. I mean, you do learn how to teach Reiki as part of the master level. It's not
Yeah.
a requirement though, and most people don't go on to teach. They're just a
Mhm.
practitioner.
Mhm.
Lots of people go through all levels, including master in all levels, and it's just for themselves or their
Mhm.
family members or something like that. It's
Yeah.
pretty much like a healing boot camp to go through the training, especially the master training, because there's so much going on in that level with us.
Yeah.
And so it's a good class. Like, I recommend doing it once a year for those who can review with their teacher easily and more affordably, because you'll go through so much more cleansing and healing than you would in
Mhm.
just like one session with somebody, right?
Sure.
So, and it's 3 days of just purging, healing, connecting with your authentic self, and all of that kind of stuff. So it's really not necessary to teach. It's whether
Yeah.
or not you're inspired to take your healing ability further, your own personal healing journey is important to you, that sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Oh my gosh, this is so fascinating.
Mhm.
So let me say hello to some people we have here. We've got Sue and Sherry and Sylvia. Hi, Sue and Mary. And we've got Rocio and Jules.
Hello.
And then we've got Sue and Jessica and Tink. Hi, Tink. And
Aw,
I know some of these people and Baby Angel. I love this. This is so
nice.
great. Thank you guys so much for being here. I really appreciate it. My guest right now is she is like everything. She's a psychic, a medium. She does all sorts of different types of Reiki. Her name is Jules Davis, and her information is on the screen here. So I'm like, this is just so exciting. I can imagine that people love your classes. And the reason why I say that is because the way you're speaking right now to me, I am it's like you've got me. You know what I mean? Like you've got me on like I am like riveted by everything you were saying. The story about how he, the Yasui Reiki. I forget what you said his first name was, but
Miko, it's okay.
I don't want to be rude.
You can say Usui Sensei, that's one way of talking about him.
There you go. Yeah, I
Yeah.
know. It's like I don't want to be rude, but
Mhm.
this is all really really fascinating. So I can imagine that your classes must be just absolutely incredible because of the way you speak. I'm just riveted. So yeah, so awesome. Um,
Thank you.
so let me ask you this, and I have a feeling because I know some of the people on my Instagram feed are not necessarily mediums.
Mhm.
So, is it better if you're a psychic or a medium to to do the Reiki? Or like I'm saying that wrong. Does mediumship enhance Reiki? Like as a teacher?
as a teacher or
Well,
practitioner or all of
practitioner,
the above?
actually both, now that I'm sitting here saying that. Does that make sense?
Um, well, here's what I'll say. If you have a natural ability with your intuition, it's always going to be beneficial because you're going to
Mhm.
be able to tune in more easily to the frequency of somebody else because you already have
Right.
that ability. But I believe everybody has intuition and everybody can develop that ability. So wherever you're starting out is perfect. You don't
Yeah.
have to be an overly developed psychic and or medium.
Mhm,
What
mhm.
happens for some people is that they're working in this passive state and they're very open and they're very connected to the energy of their client. And suddenly they start getting information or they start feeling spirit there. And then they don't know what to do with it. So, if you're one of those people, then it's good to then develop your psychic and mediumistic abilities. But one doesn't have to come before the other, so to
Right.
speak.
Okay.
So for me, because I'm a highly developed psychic and medium, my sessions are a lot different than a typical Reiki session, meaning depending on the person and their need and how much time we have, we might be going into deep traumas in this life or past life stuff,
Right.
ancestral stuff. And I'm like in there with my intuition. Sometimes their loved ones in spirit are coming in. Sometimes it's just coming through my psychic ability.
Yeah.
But I'm able to really navigate like, how do we get to the root cause of whatever's going on with you or what is stuck here, so to
Yeah.
speak. Now, that could require several sessions because we got to dig into so much different stuff, but
Yeah.
I'm able to guide the session just based on those skills alone. And then I use the energy modalities like Reiki and crystals and sound to
Mhm.
help to release that energy that's been identified.
Yeah.
Like I just had these women in town here. They're lovely practitioners. They do body work and they're releasing energy, through actual hands-on body work stuff. And one of my clients said to them, like, oh my God, Jules saved my life. She like went into my home and told me where something was. I don't want to divulge too
Mhm.
much information that was causing her to be sick. And
Oh,
so, like, those are
oh.
the kinds of things that come
Yes.
through those abilities for me. Or I'm also medical intuitive, so I could scan your body and tell you what's out of balance. And I've helped people, go ahead and get correct diagnoses that they were missing because their doctors were dismissing them or whatever the case may
Yeah.
be. And I was like, go get a second opinion.
Yeah.
And then they thanked me later saying, oh my God, if I hadn't listened to you, I would
Yeah.
have had this disease. Like sometimes cancer has come up or
Yeah.
other things.
Mhm.
And so it's not required. You'll
Mhm.
still do an effective treatment without it. But maybe it develops within you. A lot of times the attunements open you up so you become
Mm.
more sensitive if you want to be.
Oh my gosh. How often do you teach your classes? Your Reiki for the
Yeah, the Reiki I teach a lot of things, that's why I'm like,
a
um,
lot.
the Usui Reiki 1 and 2,
Mhm.
usually every other month at least locally here, but, like, sometimes I travel, so I might teach it back-to-back months.
Mhm.
Like I just was teaching up in the redwood forest. The other, stuff I teach, more like every few months, like a Reiki masterclass, just because, a lot of people want to learn Reiki, but they're not necessarily as serious about taking it to the next level.
Yeah.
So those usually are more like every few months. And then, I also teach crystal healing and other things, psychic and mediumistic development, that stuff too. And those, it just depends on the class. And I
Yeah.
mentor people so that if they are into Reiki, for example, and
Mhm.
want to combine their intuition and learn additional techniques, then I do a mentorship program where I'm mentoring them on how to go much deeper and further and more advanced in their
Yeah.
sessions.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So, let me just read this comment from Soulful Wanderer saying, I'm really thinking I need to get into Reiki. I've also been getting a nudge towards Reiki and sound healing. So, sound healing and Reiki, are they, uh, are they
Yeah, they're very compatible.
very,
Yeah,
so I was just going to say, are they
complementary.
compatible? Yeah.
Yeah. All
Interesting.
of my in-person sessions, I integrate Reiki, crystals, and sound, unless there's a reason why somebody might not want sound. Sometimes
Mhm.
people with neurodivergent, diagnoses, maybe like autism, sometimes they're sound sensitive, so they might not prefer that. But otherwise, I usually use Reiki, crystal, and sound. They're very complementary modalities. They're not competing energies. they complement each other.
Okay.
So the sound helps the Reiki, and the Reiki helps the sound. So they work together. Same with the crystals.
Yeah. Right. That's what I was gonna say. You do so many different things and you work with animals. Oh my gosh. So you do Reiki on animals.
Yep.
Now, do they tell you what's going on with them?
Yep.
They do? I
Yeah.
love that. I
Yeah,
love
I mean, the same way that I do medical intuition with humans, I do it with animals too.
that.
So
Okay.
sometimes they help me tell me what's going on with them,
Yeah.
and
I
then
love that. There is
we can
nothing
address
better,
it.
like, because we have squirrels in our backyard, and I always think
Uh-huh.
to and I'm always, kind of conversing with them a little bit, and I was
Yeah.
like, "God, I love that." I just love
Aw.
that, we can have this back and forth, even though if anybody else I mean, I get
I
that we're live, but the fact that I just said that out loud.
I mean, it's a soul to soul connection, so it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. We don't have to speak the same language. We're feeling the soul or
yeah,
hearing or seeing whatever way you work.
yeah,
And through that soul to soul connection, you get information. It's not the
yeah,
person telling you, right? So you don't
yeah,
need the language. Just
yeah,
like in mediumship, somebody's spiritual loved one comes in. I don't need to know
mhm,
the language if they're from another country. I'm
mhm,
feeling their soul and they're telling me through their soul what they
yeah.
want to share with their loved one.
Now, okay, so you guys get your questions together and type them in. If you have any questions, we'll be giving readings and all that kind of stuff in like after I ask this question. But here's
Mm.
my question. Which is your favorite thing? I This might be like asking you to pick a favorite child, but
Yeah.
which is your favorite thing to do? Like which do you feel like makes your soul sing the most?
I mean, all of it does. That's why I do all of it. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
don't think I can pick. I mean, I love to teach because I love to see people go through the experience of
Yes.
experiencing
Mhm.
transformation through any class that I teach.
Yeah.
But I definitely love all the different modalities I work with. I'm one of those people that can't just do one thing. I need to like multitask. I need diversity and,
Yeah.
it keeps my attention going. Otherwise, I'm like,
Yeah.
and so
Yeah.
that's why I do 27 things at a time because I
I
need to
love
keep myself entertained and all of
it.
that kind of stuff.
That's what I love about doing the work of spirit because every day is completely different than the day before. And
Mhm.
I was never one of those people that could do the same thing every day. I never was like that, even when I was a little kid. And so once I got into doing readings and all of the stuff that I do and the teaching and all of the things, it's like, gosh, I found my it, kind of thing. And
Yeah.
it's extraordinary. So I'm the same way. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
to
I
do
can't
all
choose.
the different.
There are some questions I see, I don't know if you see them, like,
Oh, where's
um,
that?
are you seeing them in the comments? Or
Oh,
somebody said, "When you do the healing, do you see or feel someone's pain?" Do you see that one on your end?
yes, I just saw that. Yeah, yep, yep.
Okay.
So what do you think about that?
Yeah, I do. I see
Yeah.
it and I often feel it in my body or have a
Mhm.
knowing that it's there, whatever way it wants to come
Yeah,
through. But I'm very empathic. I'm very much clairsentient. So
yeah. I was just gonna say
I'll
that.
feel that in my body, like where they have an injury or their emotions, because pain can also be emotional pain that we're
Mhm.
carrying too. And yeah, I see that. So that's what I'm like looking for that.
Yeah,
Whereas the pain, discomfort, dis-ease in
yeah,
their energetic system so that I can help address it. And then what is it connected to? Why is
yeah.
it there?
Beautiful. Oh gosh, yeah. And that's extraordinary, to be able to feel the dis-ease throughout somebody's body. That's pretty amazing. It's when I'm giving a mediumship reading, I will feel like if the spirit had a heart attack, I ask them to overlay on me and tell me but
Mhm.
to do that for healing purposes it's like take that up a notch, which I just love.
Yeah.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So, Courtney says, "What do you love to do for your free time?"
What free time? I'm just kidding. I'm trying to be better at finding that.
Oh my gosh, you guys, she is so busy. Oh my gosh. Like I've just been like really paying attention to what you've been doing this last like month or so. And I'm like,
Mm,
whoa, that's exciting. That's good.
yeah.
You're
I
enjoying your life, right?
Yes. I like to travel. I do boxing. I hang out with my boyfriend and my dog and other friends. Those are some of the things that I do. Music is a big part of my life. I used to work
Yeah.
in the music industry, so
You
those are
bet,
some
so did
things I
I.
do. Oh, did you?
We're gonna
Oh.
have to compare notes later.
All right.
We'll definitely have to compare notes later.
Yeah.
Okay, so Soulful Wanderer says, if you have time for a reading, whenever I bring up a certain topic, my body temperature changes dramatically. I get trembles and chest tightens up. What does this mean energetically? Could Reiki be good for this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, you're having an actual physical reaction to the energy of whatever it is that you're thinking about.
Mm.
So, the way that energy works is it balances your energy. So, if there's something imbalanced there, it would come in to work with you to balance it out. So, depending on what the topic is, it depends on, you know, you don't have to divulge the details, but yes, Reiki could definitely help you with that.
I get trembles and my chest tightens up. That's a really that's like, you know, for me, it used to be like I would get lightheaded. And so I would know that spirit was, the energy was building. And then I had to get rid of that. And I had to have a conversation with my guides and say, no,
Yeah.
no, we're not doing the lightheadedness and I can't do that anymore. So now I get goosebumps up the top of my head, whenever the
Mm,
energy is building fast, kind of thing. So
yeah.
yeah, it's the same kind of thing. That's amazing. Jessica says, how long are intro Reiki training sessions? When
How
Jessica,
long
I'm
are
not
the
sure
Reiki?
if you mean like the first two, the level 1 and level 2. Is that what you mean? I'm thinking that that's
So,
what you mean.
yeah, so the way that it works is if you take a level 1 and 2 class, with me, it's 1 day for level 1 and 1 day for level 2, but they're long days. They're like 9-hour days each.
Mm,
And then for the master training, it's 3 additional days. You have to wait about 6 months, and then it's 3 full days again. They're like 9-hour days of training. And then for each master level, it's the same. For each level 1 and 2 level, it's the same. So it's 2 days for level 1 and 2 of whichever system, and 3 days for master. The Karuna Reiki Master training, which you would take after Usui Reiki Master, is just 3 straight days. There's no level 1 and 2. It's just one all intertwined in one 3-day training now,
yeah,
the way that we teach it.
yeah. Okay. Wow, that's a lot. That's like a ton. You
I
do
mean,
a lot of meditating in that.
a lot of meditating, a lot of, learning different foundational techniques and all of that kind of stuff. But we
Yeah.
do something called experiences, which is a Reiki guided meditation that has a very strong healing effect. And then we do the attunements, which we call placements and ignitions in our class. So depending on the level, depends on how many of those you get.
Beautiful.
But yeah,
Mhm.
it's a lot,
Wow.
lot going on. And then
Yeah.
you also receive practice time for yourself and for working on other people.
Yeah. Wow. That is, and you do that at least every other month. That's a lot. That's amazing. I love that you're teaching so many people to do that,
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
my gosh, that's what the world needs. More people like you. Oh my gosh.
Well, just more people interested in healing themselves
Yeah.
and then ultimately healing others, but first, here with ourselves.
Yeah. So Sue has a question. She says, sorry, but am I doing the right thing ending separating with my husband? Do you want to take that?
Well, that's kind of a
I
big
have a card that
question. Yeah, why don't you do a card? This is what I'll say just from my own way that I, do readings is that I don't ever tell somebody to make that big of a life-changing decision because you have free will and you should have your own free will. So I can't make that decision for you.
yes.
What I usually look at is the potential, and without really having, I don't think that's a public kind of a question, Sue. But my feeling is that you're leading with your heart right now. So I would just listen to what your heart says and not your mind, and maybe start there because I just feel, drawn in here.
Mhm.
I'm not sure if your heart is leading you in another direction, and that's part of why you're leaving him, but that's just the feeling that I get right now. So, Lauri, what do you say about all that?
Well, interestingly, and it 100% agree with everything you said, and I fully subscribe to that. Interestingly, the card that I pulled, and I don't want you to get the wrong impression by this card. So let me speak after you see this card, Sue. It says freedom, right? And it's the Martin Luther King, I Have a Dream speech, right? So it says freedom. Now, I don't want you to think, Sue, that this means freedom means, yes, I'm supposed to leave him. No. Freedom is like, you need to work on your mind. You need to work on the freedom that you feel, whether you're with him or whether you're not with him. Okay. So there's a freedom that you can afford yourself. Okay. And that's what I'm getting from this. There was a time years and years ago that I was not sure what was going on in my marriage, right? And at one point I was like, what do I do? What do I do? And all of a sudden it came to me, spirit came to me and said, you need to love yourself first. You need to love yourself first. Love your own life. And then what'll happen is everything else, once you work on yourself, then the things will start to come into play within yourself, right? So I'm saying that because what ended up happening was I chose myself, and then I ended up choosing my husband. Every single day, I now choose my husband. Every single day. We've been married for 30 something years, 32 years, right? But the point is that it's you're still going to be there with yourself, whether you're with him or not with him. So you have to come to terms with who you are in your own heart, So I would do a lot of meditating before you make quick changes, because quick changes sometimes aren't, they're not going to be the best thing either, because wherever you go, there you are. I love that. When people say that, I always think, what are you talking about? That wherever you go, there you are. But that's the reality. Wherever you go, there you are. You are there, So I'm sorry that that's not a yes or no thing, but hopefully that gives you a little bit of clarity. So yeah, that's a hard one, huh?
Yeah. Some questions are better for private sessions where we can really tune into the whole situation, not just a quick yes or no kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely. And then I've got Mac says, Jules, any insight on what's next for my career? Completely blocked. What to do next? That's interesting, huh?
Mac. Yeah, I don't see the question here. So
it's on Instagram.
Okay.
Is Mac, what I could do? Let me see if
is Mac a male or a female?
Female.
Mac.
Here, I'm gonna oops. No. Okay, I'm putting it.
I have some questions on my Instagram too from a bunch of people, so maybe we can answer those. But I don't know if we're going to do more readings too. Mac, you're completely blocked. There's something going on with vulnerability and feeling like you're not good enough. I just feel like there's some emotions there to work on of finding your way will come with finding yourself. That kind of seems like a big existential thing, but it feels like working on your solar plexus, maybe saying things like, I love and accept myself, or I am worthy of whatever it is that you imagine your future professional life to look like, because it feels like there's some kind of barrier around you energetically that sometimes it's just hard to make things work. Like you want something good to change, but it just feels like there's like a dense energy around you that you're not really letting it in. So through our solar plexus, which is where we feel a lot, it's also our confidence and our will in the world and a whole bunch of other things. But it's also where we manifest. And so if we're not in a state where we believe we deserve to manifest something, then we can be unintentionally pushing opportunity away or making it hard, because it's also connected to our thoughts and our mental abilities to clearly see what our path is moving forward. And that's just what it feels like for me with Mac.
That's beautiful. That was beautiful. Beautifully said. So Jennifer Phillips is here. Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Jennifer.
It's nice to see you. I love seeing names pop up that I know.
Totally.
Did you want to read a question from your Instagram?
I see Jerry's saying, are emotions stored in your hips? She keeps seeing it on TikTok. I think what you're seeing is somatic release, maybe videos. And yeah, we definitely store a lot of emotions there. And it's actually our sacral chakra. So most emotional trauma or abuse or also sexual trauma and abuse is very much held there. And so that's why a lot of people suffer from reproductive health issues or back pain. It's a big one. So, doing any kind of movement that releases stuck energy there is going to really help to not just resolve the emotional energy, but also open you up because we get so tight in that area when we're holding things in our body. And we do that. We survive by holding things in, but ultimately it manifests into something physical down the road if we don't release it. So a lot of emotional pain is held in that way, in
Yeah.
that part of the body.
Absolutely. I feel like I'm supposed to say, I don't remember the person's name, but I feel like that I'm also supposed to add, you know, meditation. I feel like that if you don't already meditate, that you should spend some time with yourself. It's a gift of time that you give yourself when you meditate, you
Yeah.
know? And I really get that spending a little bit of time with yourself, you know, in meditation, just being quiet and still. It's really about just being still, you know. You don't have to worry about doing all the hand mudras and the this and that and everything else. It's just a matter of being still with yourself. So I feel like that might help a little, So
Yeah. Yeah, meditation can be great for people who are able to practice it. And meditation doesn't have to look the same for everybody. Sometimes it's
absolutely.
stillness, sometimes it's
Mhm.
walking, sometimes it's surfing or something else, you know. So
Mhm.
whatever meditation looks like for you, that could be
Yeah.
your form of meditation.
And it could be sound, it could be anything. And
Mhm.
that's what I love about teaching meditation is that it can be anything that's whatever speaks to you, whatever speaks to your heart. That's the
Mhm.
most important thing, you know. So, yeah.
Definitely.
So awesome. What do you have any
That
other
connection.
questions over on your side?
There are a bunch of them. I'm just trying to multitask here.
There you
So
go.
all right. Somebody asked me if I teach teens. Yes, teens are definitely welcome in classes, and I may start doing some classes for children coming up as well. So, for those of
Ooh,
you who are interested in that,
I love that. The next generation teaching them, oh, how to wow.
yeah.
That's incredible. Oh my gosh. I love that you do that.
Um, I don't know what her name is. Somebody said they'd love to connect with her loved one in spirit, her nephew that passed away 2 years ago. I'm
Hmm.
not sure what your name is. If you want a music for she said this Saturday she felt like he was coming through to give her a message.
Mhm.
I don't know if you want to do mediumship right now. That's we've been talking about a lot of other things to jump right into there, but if you're open to that, Lauri.
Um, you know what? I can just jump in. I don't know the person's name, so I'm gonna call this person music just because that's what you said.
Yeah, it's
um,
Muzzikk4.
oh,
So
cool.
oh, her name is Vanessa. She said,
Vanessa.
I
Okay.
can't see it here
Yeah.
the way I'm
Oh,
looking.
that's okay. That
Okay.
happens all the time, right? So,
All right.
um, I actually really feel like your nephew is trying really hard to reach out to the family in general. Like, I feel like whenever you mentioned, like, whenever you read that, Jules, and you said that uh she felt like he was with her. I feel like that he's trying really hard to communicate with the rest of the family. And it feels like really the message feels really strong in that I feel like he wants you all to know that he's free. He is free. And and it's so interesting because and I feel like I don't know how he passed or anything like that. He's not showing me that. But when they show me themselves with their hands out, like you guys can't see me, when you see with your hands out, like I see a spirit with their hands out, that usually tells me that they are free of the restraints of their body. And
Mhm.
so that usually means to me then that it's some sort of, debilitation that they had that they are now free from. So it feels extraordinarily beautiful. It feels,
Mhm.
I feel so much love. I feel comfort. I feel from him. So I'm just going to leave you with that. I'll just, making this a short one. So yeah.
Yeah. She
Are
said he
you
had a
getting
drug
anything or no?
Well, she said he had a drug overdose. I can see what she's commenting here.
Ah,
My
okay.
feeling, he keeps showing me either a little boy or a child, like he left a child behind, or when he was a child, you guys had a closer relationship because he keeps showing me this little bike. And I feel like that would be significant for you, Vanessa, for your nephew. I also feel like he was really sweet and sort of misunderstood. So I feel like his personality was I feel like he got more kind of angry or rebellious as he grew older, but I don't feel like that was really his nature because he feels like a very sweet guy. And I feel like you guys had a really great connection. Like sometimes he could talk to you in ways that he couldn't talk to his mom. So I'll just wait and see if you comment back about that. But that's what I'm feeling. I agree with Lauri. He feels like he's very much connected and watching over the family and interacting in some way. He feels a little bit mischievous. So if things go missing or get moved, I just feel like he might be playing with you a little bit
Mhm.
too, because you do have the ability to sense spirit, Vanessa.
Yeah. That's
Okay.
interesting you should say that because I was kind of getting like a, a playful personality. I was
Yeah.
getting that too. So that's awesome.
Yeah. She said he was young. He was 19. He didn't have any children, but her 11-year-old daughter was very connected with him. Yeah. There's something about the bikes though, like a little bike. So you can fill us in later if you want to comment
Yeah.
with that. But yeah,
Awesome.
yeah,
That's
I,
beautiful. Um,
unfortunate.
so Autumn Sunrise says, anything coming in from my guides or loved ones that have passed. So,
Autumn sunrise.
yeah, her name is, should I say her name? Her name is Amanda. So
Oh, sure. Names help me, actually,
yeah,
that's
I
one way that
know,
I
me
connect.
too.
Yeah, if you tell
Yeah.
me the name, I'm, like, in there. If I'm
Mhm.
like, "Well, I don't know." Um, Autumn wait, Autumn Sunrise Amanda, you said is her first name?
Yes.
Amanda. So anything from her guides, is that what the question was? Or, like,
Yeah,
are her guides
yes.
here, or
Yes.
Okay.
Guides or past loved ones.
Alright, my feeling it's funny. I keep looking at this Egyptian goddess that I have a statue
Mm.
of right in front of me. So I'm not sure,
Mm.
Amanda, if you have a connection to Egypt or have like a desire to go there or connect with the deities. But I keep looking at who is Ma'at, but it could be Isis because they look very similar. And my feeling is that there's definitely, and I keep going to fertility. So there's definitely a connection with like goddesses and fertility and that sort of thing. Um, I feel around you, Amanda. And I actually feel like you either do spiritual work or you have like your own decks and crystals because I feel like they help you with choosing things. What does she say something? I can't see what she's saying.
I know her.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah, she's really into crystals.
She's really into crystals. Okay, because I see like a collection. I'm also looking at my crystals and I see a collection around her. I just feel like you're a very loving person.
That's
And this
awesome.
goddess like energy is very much working with you. It feels very like divine feminine, I guess would be
Mhm.
my way of saying that. But
Yeah.
Egypt, I don't know if you've been there or calling to go there because that feels also like a connection for you, Amanda, to explore.
Oh my gosh, that is so cool.
Oh,
Yeah,
is that something you know about her?
she's really into the her crystals, and they from what she has described to me is that like they like sort of come alive in her hands and that sort of
Mm,
thing. So I love that. Oh my gosh.
yeah,
Okay, so I have one more question because this hour has flown by.
yeah.
I have one more question for you. Um, so how would you in a session, and if this is too much to answer right now, how would you cleanse someone's aura? Like, how do you specific? I know there's many different ways, and I do aura cleansing as well, but I want to know how what
My techniques are?
your technique or methodology. Yeah.
Well, it depends, what's going on with the person. Every kind of energy modality I work with automatically is there to help to balance the energy. So in essence, that directly cleanses the auric field because it's balancing any imbalances in the aura. So that would be a combination of Reiki crystals and sound. And then often I'll also take a look clairvoyantly to see where there's imbalances or blocks. And then I might specifically hone in on those areas if needed, in order to focus some specific healing. Or if it's, like a spirit attachment or something, then I might use a different technique in order to clear some sort of energy that's connected to the auric field that doesn't belong, for those who, I don't know how you feel about that, Lauri. Some mediums don't believe in that. But I believe in energy.
In whatever is right for you is right for everybody. Like you just like, we all have our own ways of doing things. I don't think that there's one way to do anything. So
well, my experience is it's more like energy that doesn't belong. So it's not necessarily like our loved ones in spirit. I know some people work in that way. To me, I've never seen that with a person. I've never felt that. In my experience, our loved ones are always coming through with love. But I might see some sort of energy blob or something stuck to their auric field that feels like an energy, like a person or something. It has a soul, I guess you could say. And so that's the kind of spirit release or spirit attachment stuff that I'm talking about. But yeah, I use different techniques depending on what's going on and how severe the imbalances are. And then address it with usually energy healing.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. I like I said a minute ago, I am so of the belief that there are tons of different ways that everybody can do their work, whether it's mediumship or psychic or any type of healing or anything. There's lots of different ways to do this. So I think that's great the way you do that. I just want to read to you what Autumn said back after we were talking. And this is what she said. I have heard a calling to go there, meaning Egypt, lately for some reason. Yes. Love crystals. Can't stop buying them. I feel them pulsing in my hands more lately. Thanks for the info. Many blessings. So
awesome. Yeah. And Autumn,
awesome. That's great.
If you feel that calling strongly, I was in Egypt this year. I hosted a group with Kelly Eckhart, another medium friend of ours, and we're going back February 26th next year in 2025. So if anybody is interested in Egypt trips, we do readings and healing, and then we do a lot of sightseeing, and it's super fun. And we will be taking another group back there. So if anybody's listening and interested in that, we have that coming up too.
Awesome. Yeah. Tell us your contact information. Where can people, what is your website?
My website is healingwithjules.com. Oh, there's some help right there. Healingwithjules.com. And then, my Instagram, if you're not on my Instagram, is @medium Jules. My business is Auralex. So that's @Auralex Reiki. And I'm based in Redondo Beach, California for in-person sessions and classes, although I do travel and teach in other places as well. And then I also do stuff online from Zoom. So there's lots of opportunities to train. If you're not local to me, you can do the training online for Reiki classes. And it's
I was just about to ask you that. You have classes online.
Yeah. I have classes online and in person. So they're a hybrid of in-person students and online students. It's live. It's not a pre-recorded thing. You're live, integrated, active in the class. And then I also do some classes that are just online only or just in person only. So lots of different ways we can connect.
Somebody asked about that. And I was like, I gotta ask that. I gotta ask that. I love that.
Yeah.
Because this is I hate to say it that way, but like, this is the future. If we need to be able to reach out to people and teach online, that's, it broadens everything. So that's great. So Jules, thanks so much for being here. I really appreciate all of your wisdom and all of what you're teaching everybody. I mean, and I know that sounded silly when I said it, but we do need more people like you in this world. And I mean that sincerely, because there's so much. What's that?
I said like us, but sorry to interrupt you.
That's true too. You
Yeah,
know, we need more people like us in this world.
yeah,
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate it. But
yeah.
it's just there's so much that can be done and so much that can be opened up to us all. And it's just we need more of that. That's all I'm going to say. I'll leave it there.
I think the more we see each other as soulful beings instead of just our individuality or because I live in this place and you live in that place or whatever the
Mhm.
case may be, I
Yeah.
think the more we'll heal this world. And that comes through really learning how to understand yourself and then see people through a lens of compassion
Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
love. And that comes through learning how to love ourselves,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely. 100%. So,
Yeah.
Jules, this was extraordinary. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having
And
me.
absolutely. And it was wonderful seeing everybody here tonight. Thank you all for joining again. And everybody, until next week, namaste, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.